And last, we're going to talk about Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, Episode 2, Barbados, which,
Yes.
yeah, I always think of pirates when I see that word. I don't know why, I just do.
What word?
But, what's that?
No, what word makes you think of pirates?
Barbados, whatever, Barbados, that
Oh.
word there.
Oh,
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it just makes me think of
You're
that.
thinking of the Barbados, which is a
Right.
lovely little vacation zone that is not affiliated with war orphans whatsoever.
Right. So, I guess
Mind if I
yeah.
take point with Gundam?
Yeah, you can, go for it if you want to.
Alright, so this episode, it more or less we're starting off right where more or less, let's say it starts off like in showtime 10 minutes before we actually see the Barbatos come out and destroy Orlis. We
Right.
see Mika, he's going down into the underground bunker where they're gonna strap him up and plug him in into Barbatos. You get a little talk. You have that little scene where Aina, she's all like, "No, the Isla Vijanana, it's gonna destroy him. It's inhumane." And it's like, yeah, well, it's either this or you die. So they decide to stick with the Alia. Yeah. Anyway, and then after the initial destroying of the what are they called? The Gauls?
Yeah. So,
Graves.
Grays, yes.
Okay, yeah.
After Mika destroys the first one, he takes on Lieutenant Crank and the kid Ein.
Yeah.
And it's going pretty well for Mika. Like, he is doing some serious work, but then Lieutenant Crank is he's like an experienced general. He knows how his game works. He's been in a few mecha fights here and then.
Oh yeah,
but
it looks like he's been in a few fights, yeah.
Yeah. But when he actually figures out, oh, we've been killing kids, like
Yeah.
this actually hurts him, and so it's like, okay, so clearly he didn't know what he was getting into, and also he's clearly like, I'm not so cool on this whole child murder thing.
Right.
Yeah, which leads him to have a conversation later on, but before we get to that, Mika does successfully drive off the enemies, now without bleeding like 2 pints of blood from his nose or something, because like this thing is destroying him as he's destroying the enemy. So it's like, I feel like maybe they're going to introduce like a time limit, like, Mika, you can only pilot the mecha for 10 minutes before you bleed out and die.
Right, and that to me it's a good thing to have something like that in place. A lot of Gundams don't really have this time limit thing like you were just saying. They're just like, well, keep going until you run out of batteries. I mean, the only I've ever seen something that was probably maybe 00, where they ran out of juice.
Like, yeah, if he didn't have this thing implanted into his spine when he was a 5-year-old, you couldn't put him inside a giant robot and expect him to pilot it.
Right, yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah, exactly.
It makes perfect sense when you think that, because like, just the other day I was watching Gundam X, where it's like in the first episode, like the kid he gets the special control unit and starts piloting a robot like it's nothing, and it's like, come on, this guy doesn't even have something planted in his spine. What is this?
Right. Right. I mean, to me, it's more kind of a somewhat realistic take on it. That obviously someone that small, that build wouldn't be able to pilot that long, especially if you're being drained of your blood every, you don't know how long, how much blood you lose when you're piloting it, but you lose a lot apparently. So.
Yeah.
I actually like their explanation about it. Oh, sorry. Like how actually the system that he has in his back is pretty antiquated. It's really old-fashioned compared to what they have now. Like if you notice, none of the new pilots of Galahorn or of the first group have that system.
Right.
It's because
we also haven't seen them shirtless, so we don't know for sure.
Oh, they don't.
Well, that
because they wear shirts.
Well, that it shows you how much of a gap in technology they have. Like you were just saying. These guys on Earth have this, low-grade retro tech where they have to use their bodies, and meanwhile in space they have regular suits. Like you were saying, we don't really know if it's true or not, but from what I've seen, it's like they don't gotta get suited up as much. They just jump in the suit and they pilot, because it seems like it's faster for them. So yeah. So I mean, it kind of hurts the Earth people, but also at the same time, you gotta respect that they can, they're gonna go that far to fight, which is kind of cool. So, they would, instead of just letting the other guys take over, like, well, we're gonna fight, even if it's gonna kill us, we're still gonna fight. So.
I was kind of disappointed because when the fight's over, you see like most of the asshole superior officers, like they're all still alive, and it's like, man,
yeah.
It's like, come on, these guys are not making it to the end of the show. These guys are not making it to the end of the show.
Well, no, of course not. I mean, they did lose more men than the third group. They lost, I think, like 60 something.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like, whoa,
And the other one lost like 40
Yeah,
something.
it's like,
so
yeah, like
they did lose more than the other group.
And it's like, well, look at all your workforce. I mean,
Yeah, and I mean,
sucks.
jumping ahead a bit, like when at the end of the episode, Orga gives Mikazuki a pistol and it's like, I need you to do something. Like he just takes it before even asking what the job is. Like, come on, what do you think the job is? Of course the job is getting rid of these guys.
right? Yeah, they did mention before they are going to take over that base, or at least try to.
I
But,
wonder
I
how
mean,
long
you know.
it's gonna take, because I don't know if they're gonna do it in one episode
Oh,
or
yeah,
it's
no.
gonna take more than one episode. Because it's gonna take a while. I mean, not a while, but it's gonna take some time to like transfer. Okay, this third group is now the CEOs of this, security company, and they just went up and murdered all of their, fellow officers.
Right. Someone's gonna come by looking or asking questions. I mean,
Well, I think this is gonna be where Aina comes into play, because it's like, say they do just kill off all the commanding officers, like, well, what's the next step? Because like Orga is clearly a guy. He's planning ahead. He's thinking like, okay, we're gonna win. Here's the moves we're gonna make to win. Okay, we're gonna take out the officers. Here's what we do to take out the officers. But he's also gonna be thinking, well, what do we do next? Like, he's not gonna be like, okay, do we just like keep going as mercenaries? No way. So it's like, I feel like they're gonna attach themselves. They're gonna finish the mission they were given of escorting Aina, which will A, allow them to come into conflict with Gjallarhorn more, and B, it'll be like a road to success or something where it's like, if we pull this off, we'll be like famous and we can do whatever we want, something like that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure like how they were gonna do it, because I'm also wanted to figure out what Crank is going to do, because he seems to have a plan of some kind, more so than just dying honorably.
I think he's gonna go Rambo it. He's gonna go solo.
Yeah, I know, but I think because I don't think he wants to hurt these kids, and yet he doesn't want to disobey his orders. But also he has to realize that even if he fails, his group is just going to send another person to go and kill these kids. So if he wants, I think he's going to think of a way to help them somehow, like either warn them or tell them where they can go, so that maybe they can pretend to have been defeated or something, so that they don't get anybody else coming
I don't
after
know.
them.
He has Tragic Hero died in action written all over his face.
Well, he's gonna probably die doing it.
Right. But I think isn't his group after the princess? That wasn't their original goal to get her.
They want to make her a martyr so that she will incite Mars to rebel, so that they can then put down the Martian rebellion and like take full control of Mars.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, he told them to also kill like basically everybody on that base and basically wipe the base, the group off the face of the earth.
Right.
Well, yeah, they don't want Gjallarhorn to be known as the guys who did it. They just want there to be a rebellion, so there's an excuse for them to go out and put them down.
Right. And they don't want any witnesses.
It's a little different of saying, "Hey, we killed your boss. Now you're all mad. Now we get to kill you." It doesn't work the same. It's like, "Hey, your boss became a martyr. Now you're all really mad. Now we get to kill y'all."
Right, and they also don't want any witnesses left behind either. That can go, well, they did this, So it's like, no one left behind, that's fine.
I think they would come after them again, even if Crank, dies gloriously.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's going to come after them.
They're not going to stop, yeah.
And so I think Crank has a plan of some kind, because he would know that. And he's also, if you notice, because I did notice it when they called him lieutenant, even though despite the fact he is actually the one who taught the other guy who was in charge, who got killed.
His name was Orphans.
Yeah, Orlis. So he's obviously he's been at this a long time, but he's never gotten, either he never got beyond lieutenant or he got demoted for something. And
it's probably like, he's like the tough cop who doesn't play by no rules, but he doesn't get to climb the corporate ladder.
Yeah, basically.
Instead of top,
or maybe he doesn't want to. You never know
That's
that.
possible too.
Maybe he doesn't want to progress. Maybe he's fine where he's at.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he did kill these kids. So
two together. So like, the guys in space who are going to Mars, like
Those
they're
two
all
guys?
Gjallarhorn, and they're basically the ones they're inspecting. They're inspecting the guys who are already there. So it's like, Hey, so what's with this plan to murder this Martian princess guy you going on here? Tell me what's that all about?
Yeah, the two guys are like in those like fancy looking military uniforms. The
Yeah,
blonde guy and the other one.
You
really
mean Blue
suave.
Char and Garma clone?
Yeah, pretty much. I think they're that. I'm like, yeah, I think the blonde like he screams he can be the mask guy of the season. I just see him like, yeah, he's something's gonna happen to him later on where he just becomes this messed up character. And plus,
Actually,
they got the voice actor. He's credit
this
for him.
theory I had was because if you read like Kudelia, you know, her bio that's on the guy's desk is actually in really good English, but they basically say that she's the daughter of the guy's the guy's second wife.
Oh, shit.
So he was married before, and so I was like, well, what if he was married before and had a son, and now that son has disappeared somewhere, and so now we have a half sibling of the princess character who's probably in hiding somewhere.
Oh, yes.
And he's
I didn't even
obviously
notice that
blonde.
detail.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, with Gundam, they love playing around with the whole trope of like, you know, this was a princess. You have a sibling somewhere. I mean, I've only seen it in like maybe Seed, where you know two characters were not from they're in the same family technically, but they're one's a princess, one's the prince or something like that. It's very weird. But yeah, I wouldn't put it past them to do that. That is interesting. You know, how you said that.
Yeah, because it would fit like the whole, you know, Char and Sayla or Zex and
Right. Yeah.
the,
That's cute. Yeah.
the whole same thing.
That and there's not a lot of blondes I noticed too. I'm like, there's only like 4 blondes in the series I've seen so far. You know, 2 that are on Earth with Mika. One's younger, one's the one that kind of has a grudge against them.
Oh no, Mika's on Mars.
Right.
Remember?
Right. Yeah. That's right.
They're all on. That actually, we have never seen Earth yet.
Right. That's true.
We've been constantly on Mars.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Going back to the Martian boys though, like, and going back to more about Kudelia, Aina, whatever. I just call her Aina.
Right.
Going back to her, where it's like she was having that like anguish, where it's like all these people they died like because of me, and like,
Right.
and I gotta take back what I said about Mika, because like I know I said like, oh, Mika, he's another emotionless mecha pilot, but like he's not emotionless. He's very reserved, but he's also got like, I don't know, do I want to call it like righteousness? Like he's got his own like code or whatever, and he really doesn't move away from that. So when he's like, that's real. So like he said to her, like, no, that's really arrogant of you. Like, don't say, oh, this is all your fault. You should take responsibility. It's like, no, we decided we're gonna fight, and if we decided and we die, so be it. But don't go saying you're the one who should be responsible for us or whatever. And I really like how they're playing that.
Yeah, for me, I see a lot of that in a lot of anime, especially with there's war and fighting. If one person is the reason why they want to kill people, and it's like, oh, they killed everyone because of me, it's always like that, though. They always blame themselves. This is how
I
it
mean,
always
to
is.
go back to that show that is All No Zero.
Right, I mean, yeah, I don't want to use that. I mean,
You can't pretend it doesn't exist.
I can't though.
Well, for me, there are a lot of similarities, but there are also a lot of differences. I just don't like using it as a comparison because everyone kind of unanimously agrees that it's not that great. But yes, there are some things you can pull from that.
Well, Mika,
it's the easiest comparison to make, but like the Martian princess in that show was also like, it's only because of me that the war started, and it's like, well, no, the war would have happened either way. And the same is like, if they didn't fight Gjallarhorn this time, there would have been a conflict in the future. You can't just say it's all me. I'm the one who should be held responsible for all this. Like, I mean, you exist and you are part of the conflict, but you're not. The conflict isn't synonymous with you, Aina. Don't get your head up your ass.
Well, that and everyone kind of knows that she's on Mars somewhere, so I mean, it's kind of hard for her to hide, I would think.
Yeah, because I actually like Mika a lot better than Inaho. But
no one's saying they like that fucker.
Well, I mean, he has, like you said, he's very reserved. But to me, he actually shows that he has this comradeship. He has this fraternity, like between him and all the third group, and they all have this where the only people they have to support them, to trust in, is themselves. And they choose. Basically, they would have lived or died, so they chose to fight to live. And for her to say, "Oh, well, they died because of me," can't like. takes away from their death, and that's where he felt to say, "Don't look down on them,"
Yeah.
because this was their, they fought not for you. It had nothing to do with you. They fought for themselves. Then they fought for their comrades.
And also, he wants to be like, bros for princesses, So he wants to be like, but yeah, I see that he I guess with his group, he'll do anything for them. Basically, sounds like. But at the same time, do you guys think he might be a little reckless sometimes? Maybe he doesn't really think clearly. He wants to. I know he's trying to fight and defend his friends.
He doesn't
but...
value himself.
Right.
Like he's like, if I have to lose all my brain cells.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Like, yeah. I want to save this note for last because I do want to talk a little bit more about Mika and Olga's relationship.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but aside from that, we have a few other nice character interactions. You have the girl who has a crush on Mika is heading to base.
Oh yeah.
She runs into
Atra, I think.
Biscuit and Cookie. No, not Cookie and what's it?
Cracker.
Yeah, Cookie. And how the hell did they get to the middle of the road in the middle of the desert?
They walked.
Like,
right. Yeah.
They just sort of. God knows how far they are from like civilization. It's like, come on, take us to base.
They magically teleported with their magic powers. I mean,
they're not new types. Well,
but
actually, I think Biscuit is probably going to be a new type, so maybe they're new types too.
But I mean, you gotta also think about it too. The series really isn't about. I don't want to be mean, but it's not really about them. It's more about the soldiers and how they fight. But the girls. I mean, I like.
It's a silly thing to pick at.
Yeah, no, but I like some of the girls. But for me, the girl that has a crush on Mika, I like her because of voice actor. But for me, I feel all those characters there for possible, kill them off later to make a reaction happen for the pilot. So I'm a little weary of getting close to them.
Writing the show, so
right.
I don't think that's...
Well, I mean, she does have a habit of like doing the tragic thing where something that was going to happen, like a romance, was going to happen, but it never does because they die. So it's like she could do something like that with them. But as far as I go, these characters are just, they're fine. They're fun to break up the seriousness all the time.
Yeah, I am kind of afraid of that because I'm like, okay, in the opening you see that Mika actually has the bracelet on,
right? That
Atra made for him, and so I'm concerned that they're gonna kill her off,
right?
So
that way he gets kind of a purpose to fight, maybe other than.
Well, he has a purpose, or
right.
he's supposed to.
Right, I know that, but I mean, other than thinking his life's not worth it, and he's just gonna save his friends. He may want to save himself too. And right now he's kind of like, I'm just gonna go in. If I lose, like you said, maybe if I lose my brain cells, whatever. But for me, I'm wondering how long it's gonna take for her to give him that bracelet. I'm like, is that gonna be the thing of this series? Like before they leave Mars, she's gonna throw it to him and get caught in an explosion or something, like you said, and that's gonna be the hit that character.
Oh wow, that would be horrible.
I mean,
a lot more dramatic than how I was imagining it.
Well, there's plenty of ways that she can use these side characters as a way to kind of push an emotional reaction to happen. And with me, Gundam does that a lot where couples are getting together, and romance in Gundam really works from my experience with Gundam. So it's like I doubt it's gonna work out, but it'd be interesting if they do something with that. But we'll see.
I'm really afraid for Cookie and Cracker.
Oh yes, I'm really afraid for those two characters.
Like they're just gonna kill them off to get Biscuit to fight.
Right, and Biscuit seems to be like this, I guess softy, so I don't want to get hurt.
Well, he's the only one who has family. Everybody else, just them, and he's the only one who has actual siblings. So it's like, okay, those two girls are, marked for death already.
Yes.
Let's not be so super grim.
Well, I'm hoping. I like them. They're cute.
Again, it's Mario Kata. She's not a character killer like, I don't know, Urobuchi.
I think someone's headset came up. I think someone's headset's unplugged. I heard an echo.
Oh, me too, actually.
Am I echoing?
No, it's gone now.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree. They're pretty cute characters, so that's why I'm a little weird of getting too attached to them. I'm like, oh, why are you doing this to me? Don't do it. And the naming, the names for the characters are kind of funny. I like the way they named all three of them.
I bet their parents are ginormously fat.
Their parents are probably like cake and something else, pie or whatever. to keep with
Pop-Tart. They
this
have a
little,
dog named Pop-Tart.
yeah, and their dog is probably named like George, something normal. You know, everyone else has got these pet names.
Pop-Tart.
Like for me, Cookie or Cracker would be like a pet name you give like an animal or something. Like what? This is weird, but yeah. And even the princess is like, I don't think she's gonna get killed anytime soon. I think she's protected right now with plot armor. So
Yeah, I think she's fine.
yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen to her. But yeah, out of everyone else, even these three girls, I'm a little wary of, like I said.
Oh, but who thinks that the maid is actually a spy? She seems really
Yeah,
suspicious to me.
that seemed kind of weird. She
Totally.
came walking out of nowhere, like holding her arm. Like, okay, where have you been? You know?
I was like,
And
you
also,
have.
she totally disappeared right when the combat
Yeah,
happened.
exactly. She did.
Yeah, because, like, don't forget, her father sold her out to Gjallarhorn.
hmm
So it's like, and the maid is she loyal to the princess, or is she loyal to her boss? Like, that's the thing.
Right. Yeah, I would not be surprised if she's like you just said. If she actually is like a spy, I wouldn't be surprised.
She's like what? She's one of those really shifty characters, kind of like that guy who's always in the background with with the first group, who basically has that Hitler mustache. And he's
Yeah.
always,
Oh, the fat guy.
He looks so weird. His design. He's like, is he fat?
I
Is
like
he
how-
skinny? Is he
I
like
do
what?
like how he's like, maybe it's time to change sides. So he's like, he's clearly like, smells like, I don't think the first group's going to be around for that much longer, guys.
Yeah, he's probably the one that will quickly like join different sides if if given the chance.
I really hope they don't like destroy like Orga's character and like have him say, oh, you know what? You helped us against the first group, so come and join us and stay with us or something.
Right. Become
which is
the
horrible. And I'm like,
become the comic relief that may screw up next later on, get someone killed probably.
yeah.
I mean, all of the older people in the first group, they pretty much all have hideous character designs, which is completely on purpose.
Oh yeah.
They're just like, these are comically goofy bad guys.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they're beating up orphans, so it's not really that comical.
True. Mm.
Yeah.
But... So before we finish our discussion on Gundam, I did want to talk a bit more about Mika and Orga,
hmm
because really, their character dynamic is going to be one of the most important things in the show, without a doubt.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're doing something like that.
And I mean, this is just me, but I don't trust Orga that much. I don't know. Something about like his ambitiousness, like his relationship with Mika, like I don't think he's gonna turn evil per se, but like I just don't trust him.
I really like Orga. He's like, I forgot how somebody put it, but it's like he's been made to eat crap sandwiches all his life. He's tired of it, and
Right.
he just wants to have this other life, beyond this. And I like that he's a really good leader. He's willing to take, even this unjust punishment that he got, and he's willing to take it for the entire group. And he includes everybody else. It's not like he makes all the decisions on his own. He starts it, but he asks for everybody else's input.
Right.
And he asks for, and he's willing to give it up for Mika if he disagrees. But he knows that Mika won't disagree because they are so tight. Both of them know how each other thinks.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like they've been together on the street since Mika killed that unknown person in like the first second of the first episode.
Right.
Like they are literally. It's like the old saying goes, they're brothers except for blood.
Yeah, exactly. With me, I kind of feel like a little bit like both of you guys. At the same time, I like him. He's a cool leader. He does keep everyone.
Don't be mistaken. I really like Orga.
No,
I'm just saying,
I'm just saying that I could see where you would come off that as saying that earlier about you're not really trusting him too much. I mean, I can see that. I mean, I would not put it past him to put the whole, they're friends that turn enemies later. I would not be surprised if something like later happens, they have falling out. And even like I made a joke before about the mask guy in Gundam. I wouldn't even put past Orga being maybe the candidate for that role. Just given how he, he's kind of this, I guess the opposite of Mika. He's very strong, he knows what he wants basically. And Mika kind of goes along with them, but at the same time they both kind of, like you said, they know what each other want. But yeah.
Mask, to me, that they would be something similar to Mubaflaga.
Right, exactly.
Where they kill him off supposedly, and then he returns like later on, and everybody in the world knows it's him except for the main
Right.
character.
Yeah. I mean, they did. I don't know how many episodes you guys watch of Recon. The same thing, where the main characters knew each other. They obviously hung out. They know each other's voices, but he puts the mask on and he talks the same way. But he's the only one that cannot figure out who he really is. That to me is.
I didn't get that.
That to me is just dumb, but that's anime. They always do that. Even with like multicolored hair color characters, you're like, the bad guy has red hair. You have a friend that has red hair. Can't you figure it out? You know. but yeah, I mean, like you said, Ogre's a cool character. I'm curious what they do with him later on. I don't want him to become the bad guy where he's like the ultimate baddie. I don't want that, but at the same time, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing something like that happen. To see how Mika would react,
Some people say he's gonna maybe go out like the other main character in Gurren Lagann.
Right.
Kamino.
Yeah.
Kamino, yeah.
He's he's like the inspiration for Simone to do what he wants to do. So yeah, I could see something like that, or being like this inspiration to Mika. The both of them being together for so long.
The guy has a lot of flags already.
Yeah, he does. I mean, even the first episode, he was screaming, "I'm not dying today," or whatever.
And you're like, "You're gonna die."
I'm like,
just because you said that.
I'm like, don't say that out loud.
I find that my viewing experience of a wartime show is a lot better if I don't think about death flags. Because then I'm like, oh man, is this the episode where this character gets whacked? It's like, it's a lot more fun when it completely surprises you.
But for me, it's always like, it's always interesting playing that game because I don't know if you guys watch much TV, but I watch like Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, and every week it's always like that. Who's gonna die this week? It's always a surprise. When they die, you're like, oh, why didn't I see that coming? But also, sometimes you don't see it coming.
But sometimes if you think too hard about something, you take the fun out of being surprised.
Like, oh, you remember that show, Majestic Prince?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Where it was like the end half, and you had these like extra characters who were like help group, and they said all the major death flag things. Like,
yeah, they did.
I'm about to get married. I'm gonna confess to her.
Yeah,
tomorrow,
he did.
And it's my last day till retirement. And I was like,
yeah,
oh my god.
Yeah, one guy had a ring on him too. He's about to give it to her, and he dies.
I was like, no. Why are you saying that? And the more he said, I was like, oh gosh, you're gonna die. Stop it.
Right.
Stop.
And with my experience with that game with most Gundams, I mean, a lot of the main cast never really survives these fights. I mean, for me, well, I guess I would say all outside characters anyway. My last experience with Double O, I think almost half the cast of that gets wiped out by the end of the series. So.
Oh, spoilers! Watching Double O right now.
But I didn't say names though, so you don't know. But yeah, I mean, everyone has their different way of viewing this show, I guess. I'm more blown away by people actually who don't watch Gundam, like Highway and Skyline, giving this a shot. I'm more surprised about that.
A lot. Like, I've been watching a lot of reactions on YouTube and things like that, and there are so many people who are like first time viewers to this, and they're really getting into it, and that's actually a pretty good thing because like it's one of the really first mainstream ones that has come out in a long time that's been by itself.
Right. Because
Reconquista was also like, that was also was Reconquista was also non-UC, right?
It was technically part of the timeline because they do make mention of the old timeline. They even
have it was a bad show. So that's not the point, but like,
well, I mean, they even have like these statues that are like the same suits they used in the very first Gundam.
Yeah, they tried to link it with Turn A because I think a character from Turn A pops up near the end half.
Yeah.
So yeah, they try to link it to that one.
3 episodes reproduced it because it's a huge show.
Well, I mean,
it's pretty weird.
I mean, compared to like the starter Gundams, I think this one is really easy for people to get into. Gundam Age was kind of easy to get into because it wasn't about any timeline; it was kind of by itself. So, but yeah, Recon was trying to be there.
Anyone can watch that show.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm surprised people that don't watch Gundam are watching this movie. I'm happy, but I'm also surprised.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I mean, Orga, back to Orga and Mika.
Sorry.
And I was talking with some other people, and they were saying how it is actually really unhealthy, their relationship, like because one is has the like ultimate leader role, and the other one is completely like not subservient really, but he just takes the lead all the time. Like the follow, he's a follower. That's all he does. And But it's interesting because it's mutual. It's like a mutual codependence that even though one always leads and one always follows, they know that that's what they do and they're completely okay with it.
Right.
So even though it's unhealthy, they are completely okay with.
Yeah. I mean,
Because 7, like, it went places I didn't expect. It was a really good mecha show.
do you ever see a little show called Zan Lost Memories? It's
No,
sort
I
of
have
similar.
not.
It's sort of similar to Eureka. It's got the same kind of Comet Lucifer type setup.
I mean,
Like
I
blending
don't want to
the-
like get too far into this, but like personally, I'm like a super robot mecha fan. Like we're talking Maz and Kaiser. I could talk about Maz and Kaiser for hours.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think we've been talking for a good while, so we probably should just wrap this up here.
Yeah. All right. Well, for Rin for Samsora, and
For me, I'll see you guys next week for the Mechanorn. So, see you guys later.